And we are live. Woo! Your crow lost its head. There it is. Hey, everybody. Allyson is joining us. We're having just a little bit of some glitch. So she's backing out. She's going to reboot, and she will be joining us in a momento. And hopefully that will work. So I see we have a couple shows starting tonight. So people coming in later on replay. Thanks for dropping by. People coming in during the live. Hello, people who are already here, like Miss Ginger Faye from
and my what looks like a rubber duck on my rubber chicken next to me.
Her little fairies. Allyson putting her boots on. And we have Cosmic Orphan, moderator extraordinaire.
Yes. Kristen.
Kristen Louise. Very cool.
That's right. She's
Hi, Jen.
Oh wait, I thought she had. Oh my gosh, I was thinking of you the other day, Jen, and it was too early in the morning on your end for me to message you.
So it's nice to see you popping in, Jen. Good to see you. We're just waiting. There's Allyson. We're just having some glitchy stuff going on, so we're hoping a reboot. Yeah. There she is.
Hey.
And she's got a special guest with her. She's got Edgar Allan Poe himself keeping her company.
I do.
Yeah. And I've got, well, I'm going to have to get rid of
I'm the one without the crow. I'm the crow out.
Oh, well. All right, I need to remove this because we can't
get my little crow right here.
You got a little crow there. You got a raven right there.
There we go. Oh, no, I actually deleted it from my list. Oh, dang it. But anyway.
There we go. Very cool.
That's what I've got right here, but it's smaller.
And I've got Tarot Boo with me.
You should see my room. My room is ridiculous. But
I do have a skull here. I have Hermes, my snapping turtle.
I love it.
There's Hermes. Not a crow. So hello, Isadora. We got people popping in. We got Rain. We got Isadora. Inspiration Psychology, who Jen is with us this evening. So how wonderful. We got people from Ginger's channel popping in and those popping in mine. So wow. How was everybody's week?
Hello, everybody.
Pretty cool.
My soul's journey, Bella. Hello. Hello.
So I have a story to tell.
All righty.
So outside of my back sliding glass door, I let the dog out, and for the last couple of weeks it's been a Reiter spider, and I love the way their little squiggles are in their web. So do you know which ones I'm talking about? They're black and yellow, and they have these beautiful webs, but in the middle of the webs their silk is zigzaggy all the way down.
I have never seen that. I'm a huge spider.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, I'm so happy that she's making a web right by my door.
Yeah.
And so I've been watching her, and when the grass was cut, it got up in the web, and she literally either cleaned it out or took down the web and redid her web. Well, last night I let the dog out, and I was just watching her fascinated. I'm like, this is fascinating and creepy at the same time. And I'm just watching what she must be redoing her web because of the grass cuttings. And I noticed she was paying attention, just spending time in the corner instead of throughout the web. I stood there forever, and it was past 11. I had to go to bed. And this morning when I went to let the dog out, there was an egg sac the size of an apricot. So I missed it. I would have loved to have seen her.
How big is this spider?
Well, I don't know. Her body's like this.
Oh my God.
But the egg sac is the size of a spider?
The egg sac is bigger than her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some spider problems here. I was nibbled on last night.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So I was fascinated and scared, going, oh my God, when they hatch, where are they going to go? Because it's right next to my door.
You can do a little, request that they just don't come in your house.
This is true.
They never listen to me.
But they don't. Those I've never heard of them ever being in a house. So, but
did you name her Charlotte?
Those youngins, you can never keep a lasso on them, so they could be everywhere. So.
Yeah, that's my arm. So a couple weeks ago it was the side of my leg, and last night now it's my arm. So everybody, Stephen, that ain't no itsy bitsy spider.
Yeah, that ain't no. Well, okay, so another story real quick was I had this crepe myrtle that was 1 year it wasn't flowering, and the next year the leaves were coming up in little squiggly pom-poms. I'm like, oh my God, my tree is dying. So I cut it back as far as I could, and there was only one little limb had life in it. I planted some crystals around the roots. I did Reiki healing on it. And one day I was running my lawnmower and I ducked. And then I realized, oh my God, I just had to duck. She was in full bloom.
Aww.
And so, but I would go and hug her and do the Reiki. And then this guy, every spring, I have somebody help me. It's a huge yard. And he goes, there's a big spider in your tree. I'm like, yeah, just like that giant snake that you saw. He goes, no, this one's big. So I go, the butt was this big of that spider. And I said, I just had my face in there yesterday, giving the tree a hug and Reiki. So I must have Reiki'd that thing into a direction.
I don't think it would bother you.
I know.
You Reiki'd it into it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's your superpower.
I irradiated it or something and made it bigger.
Chris and I love spiders, but not spider bites. No. And Isadora's wondering, can you move the egg sac? I don't think so.
No, I think
it'll be fine.
I'm not even worried about it.
I wouldn't do anything.
I mean, worst case scenario, they get in the house, I freak out and either just freak out and shush them out or spray them, which I don't want to do.
Hey, Gerald. Howdy,
now
howdy.
I feel like they're my grandchildren.
So learn about that type of spider and see what's going to happen when they come out, especially if you feel that attached. Just find out about that type.
Yeah. So I've been watching them for years, but this is usually they don't stay in one spot that long. So I feel blessed and honored that she felt comfortable enough to make her home and nest there.
That's very cool.
That's my bizarreness.
Anything you want to add, Allison, with this week?
No.
Before we jump into it now.
It's been like a regular week. There's nothing, thankfully, nothing.
Yeah, Allison and I were talking today, before earlier. So, work, bow, tarot cards.
Well, that was the highlight of my week.
Or quotes.
Nice. I did one thing that did happen today was my assistant, I guess you'd call her, on the bus was losing her. Unfortunately, she's leaving. She found a job somewhere else, which is a bummer because they're probably just going to give me subs. We don't have enough to give me a permanent person, so she's great. That was something that happened that unfortunately wasn't a good thing, but I think it's a good week and things have been really good. But yeah, it's kind of sad to see her go. But
yeah, it's never easy, especially when you find somebody that you really like and you can talk to and connect with. And
she's just really good with the kids. Actually, I don't. That's part of the problem. That was a problem today. Is there's too much talking. I can't be talking when I'm driving.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of probably in a weird kind of way. It's a good thing, but she's great with the kids. But yeah, you shouldn't be yakking when you're driving the bus.
All righty. Well, tonight we have Edgar Allan Poe, which was actually recommended by Allison last week.
Good one.
And our moderator extraordinaire, Cosmic Orphan, emailed me a little article, and I thought it was little. I'm like, oh, look at it's 13 pages. So just a little bit of I'll try to read this quickly as possible because there are multiple ideas of how they feel that he could have passed. And so there's this little paragraph that I'm just. What's that?
You want to read on how we think he might have died before we read it?
No, I'm just saying that I'm the only part that
I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, what I was going to do first is just read how somebody found him, and
You're
then
right,
I can go.
You're right. There's just so much speculation around his death, which I've always kind of thought was interesting. I just like Edgar Allan Poe, and any writings of his that I've read, I've just thought are completely. He was ahead of his time, and he was fascinating. And then I read a little bit about his history and his childhood and his upbringing and what happened to him and how tragic and everything life was. Oh yeah. Okay. And then his death was kind of a mystery, but because of the time that he died in, rumor, and they didn't have autopsies and this and that, and I know he was kind of sort of homeless or something for a minute there.
At one point, yeah, that's what it looks like.
A lot of different speculations about different illnesses he acquired, and so I need to just shut up. Go ahead, Heather.
No, you're part of this show too. So
no, I'm not. I'm like,
I'm not.
Yes, you are. She's like, no, I'm not. Every week for like 4 months now. No, I'm not part of this show.
No, I don't mean that. I'm just saying you were wanting to talk. Go ahead and read whatever you were going to read. This is just for fun and entertainment only. I don't expect us to like bust a mystery here or rule out whatever.
Yeah, but it'll be fun. Go ahead. Okay, so just a little synopsis. It was raining in Baltimore. Go ahead.
Oh no, Stephen said Allyson needs a hug. I said we're hugging.
I'm good, but I'll take a hug, sure.
And a Happy Meal? No, I could use a Happy Meal.
No, I just feel back. I'm like, and then I say all my thoughts. But no, Heather, go ahead. Read what you're going to read, honey.
So, it's just like a little thing to get us going here. So it was raining in Baltimore on October 3rd, just recently. Oh wow, that was just like 3 days ago.
Today's the 6th.
Mm-hmm. I know. I thought, oh my God, we were 3 days off.
That's crazy. 1849, but that didn't stop Joseph W. Walker, a compositor for the Baltimore Sun, from heading out to Gunners Hall, a public house bustling with activity. It was election day, and Gunners Hall served as a pop-up polling station for the 4th Ward polls. When Walker arrived at Gunners Hall, he found a man, delirious and dressed in shabby secondhand clothes, lying in the gutter. The man was semi-conscious and unable to move, but as Walker approached him, he discovered something unexpected. The man was Edgar Allan Poe. Worried about the health of the addled poet, Walker stopped and asked Poe if he had any acquaintances in Baltimore who might be able to help him. Poe gave Walker the name of Joseph E. Snodgrass, a magazine editor with some medical training. Immediately, Walker wrote Snodgrass a letter asking for help. Dear sir, there is a gentleman, rather the worse for wear, at Ryan's 4th Ward polls, who goes under the cognomen of Edgar A. Poe, and who appears in great distress and says he is acquainted with you. He is in need of immediate assistance. Yours in haste, Joseph W. Walker. On September 27th, almost a week earlier, Poe had left Richmond, Virginia, bound for Philly to edit a collection of poems for Margaret St. Leon Loud, a minor figure in American poetry at the time. I'm trying to see if I can paraphrase here. So when Walker found Poe delirious disarray outside of the polling place, it was the first anyone had heard or seen of the poet since his departure from Richmond. Poe never made it to Philadelphia, nor did he ever make it back to New York, where he had been living, to escort his aunt back to Richmond for his impending wedding. Poe was never to leave Baltimore, where he launched his career in the early 19th century. And in the 4 days between Walker finding Poe outside the public house and Poe's death on October 7th, he never regained enough consciousness to explain how he had come to be found in soiled clothes, not his own, incoherent on the streets. Instead, Poe spent his final days wavering between fits of delirium, gripped by visual hallucinations. The night before his death, according to his attending physician, John J. Moran, Poe repeatedly called out for Reynolds, a figure to this day remains a mystery. And then it goes down, yeah. And so it goes down to a little bit more. It says his death's been shrouded in mystery, ripped directly from the pages of one of his own works. So yeah, they said here, but though his death certificate listed the cause of death as phrenitis or swelling of the brain, phrenitis, no, I can't even pronounce this word, phrenitis, or swelling of the brain, the mysterious circumstances surrounding his death have led many to speculate about the true cause of Poe's demise.
Yeah, phrenitis is a symptom.
So maybe it's fitting that since he invented the detective story, says Chris Sepner, curator of the Poe Museum in Richmond, he left us with a real life mystery. So from there on, they give you several possibilities, but I thought, did you want to just pull cards first and see what we get, and then see what we get first?
We want to pull like the general energy of Poe first?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
And I have a deck that's actually got a picture of Edgar Allan Poe in it, so I will be using my Lunatic Lenormand for quite a bit tonight.
I have the Dreamkeeper's Tarot has a King of Wands. Let me find it. Sure. Let's see if it comes out on its own.
Oh, this is the week of his death. This is so freaky. Wow. Oh, what happened? Dear sir. First card I get is the death card. Oh boy. Okay, now where is he in this deck? And when one of you ladies are ready, let me know, because this is going to take me a little bit to find him in the deck.
I take too long.
I'll go.
Okay.
Here, I'll put you on the big screen.
Okay. I did not pull a spread. I wasn't planning on us doing it like this. Not that it matters. So I didn't do a spread.
Right?
Spread. I just pulled cards. I went through the deck once, and I'm just going to show you what came out. This is not a spread. I got the Emperor, 5 of Wands. I'll tell you what I think of it after I'm done with these cards. The Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and I got Strength. And a couple of these fell out on the floor, so I'm not sure the order. Again, it's not a spread, so it doesn't even matter. But what I get from these cards, the Emperor, I think this is because although he was very sensitive in a way, he was very strong. He was very much in charge, and he was a trailblazer. He did do what he wanted. He did need some help in some way. He was always, I do know this from reading about him years ago, that he was always pretty much financially destitute. Money was a problem his entire life. But I think how he felt about himself and his gift and his love of his wife and all of that. 5 of Wands, this is about the ongoing battle of his entire life. He did have strength, though, and he fought till the very end whenever he finally did succumb to what killed him, his, I believe, various illnesses. And then I have the Knight and the Queen of Pentacles. I just think this is him and her, and they're financial destitute, but they were very much in love. He was a youthful energy for sure. He was very vibrant. Like in his writings and everything, he was very passionate. And although, and it's kind of funny, although she was considered quite a bit younger than him, I do feel like she was very much a mother energy to him. So I find it interesting that she's the Queen of Pentacles and he's coming up as a Knight. I do think this is them. Again, this wasn't a spread, but this is what came out. And that's just me reading on the energy of him, not on his death or anything like that. That's it. Really quickly before we move on, I wanted to say it when we got started, and we just kind of went another direction, and then I forgot. You asked what was going on for the week. Today is my grandfather Clifford Flory's birthday, October 6th. This is his birthday. Some of you have heard me mentioned a couple different times.
Happy birthday.
My fourth generation witch grandfather. And his wife, my grandma Viola, who was a midwife and a witch. And he actually just kind of went along with her, and they used to have seances and all kinds of stuff. But he was very sweet. He was very mild. He was a very easygoing, passive man. And she was very much the opposite. So they were very yin and yang. She wore the pants for sure, but it was a totally different generation then. But I just wanted to say happy birthday to my grandpa Clifford. And I did visit his grave October 7 last year.
Wow.
Just wanted to send love to him. And then as long as I'm showing that, this is my grandma Viola. This is her mother, Hattie Mae, who was the original witch. She's the one that started it all. And she even looks like a witch.
Right.
Very cool.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah. And she, what was I going to say about Hattie? I just lost my thought. Oh, she was a midwife as well. So there's that. So anyway, sorry to hog that up, but it's like I have to give him.
No, that's awesome. It's wonderful.
He comes around me, and he was very much spurred me getting into all of this even more so about a year ago, because I felt his presence around, looked it up, and I'm not kidding you guys. It was his birthday. So a year ago on October 6th, and I got this whole thing thinking about him, looked him up, and like, it's his birthday.
Oh my gosh.
It's his birthday.
Oh my gosh.
That's wild. Well, happy birthday.
It really is. So, but anyways, Grandpa Clifford, happy birthday. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Yes. And really quick, Debbie No popped in. This is in Ginger's channel. Brenda Noel, welcome. Let's see, there were a couple of other people I saw come in. Aries Dawn, you're new to me. Hello.
Peter.
Thank you for being here. Hi, Peter. Welcome. Give Julie my best. And yes, Rain, October 7th. So tomorrow would be his death day. He was found on the 3rd, and I guess he hovered in between for about a week, 4 days, in a delirium. So that's very sad.
It is.
So I'm going to give this over to Ginger. Okay. All right, so since I'm calling on the energy, so it's funny because I got the 3 of Cups, and at first I'm like, okay, so there must have been a point where he was celebrating, but since he had such a oppressive life, I'm thinking maybe he liked celebrating the drink and liked to drink with a couple and like a very select group, not just go out into bars and have, drinks with everybody. I feel like it's a very select group that he liked to share the drink with. I got 9 of Wands. So, that oppression, that trapped feeling, and he may have been towards his death close to some sort of, I don't know. I want to say brink of some sort. I'm losing my words tonight. He had a lot of strife, but like Allyson said, he was strong throughout it. He had strength and endurance, and he was able to push through. And I feel like he maybe towards his death, he was either nearing the end of this oppression, or maybe his illness set him free of this oppression. I say illness. I don't know what happened to him, but that came to my mind. We got the 8 of Cups, I switched deck. I'm doing 2 decks. I'm doing Darkness of Light that I modified. So I think I need a moment here. It's funny, in this image, she's walking away and then towards the light. There's like, the light that he's walking towards. It's like he didn't necessarily want to leave this earth, but he knew he had to. I got the Tower. Obviously something happened, something dramatic, something, it shocked the world, of course. But I don't think I'm in the zone quite yet. So, okay.
No, you're not doing bad. You mentioned something that popped up in the feed about this possible passing. So you picked up on drink. So you're on track.
Yeah, but there's a lot of water energy here. So I just got the word water on the brain in my head. And, I'm going to come back to this Tower because it's like it's speaking to me and I can't hear it.
Did you say you got the Tower card?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
I got the Tower of one of my decks. Yep.
This kind of reminds me of him in his room as he's doing his writings and he gets these thoughts of epiphanies happening. Because for me, the Tower is about epiphanies, spiritual epiphanies happening. And here we've got this dark cloud. So it's this epiphany of darkness that comes. It's like he channeled his work or something, which something was said earlier. I got the veil.
Ooh, yeah.
I wish I could remember what I was thinking. It says the future. Oh my God, now I can't even think it. It made this card make so much sense. So he was balancing between the veil when he was dying, when he was in the process of dying. He was balancing between that veil, and I believe that he could see the future, maybe even is that because it says the future. I'm going off of entertainment purposes only.
Yes.
But it's something that he didn't necessarily like to see. No, that's not even right. It's funny. Hang on a second. Okay, so because he couldn't see with his physical vision while he's in the midst of this veil, I think a lot was revealed to him. And funny enough, I got the Cauldron card, and it says synergy and healing. I'm wondering if he knew what was going on with him and he was looking for, let's say, concoctions to heal himself with. And it's quite possible he did some sort of mixture of something that just ate his brain, so to speak. Something that tipped him over the edge and not necessarily like an overdose, but something that he just couldn't, the brain couldn't handle that. Maybe almost like a bad LSD trip kind of thing. And it just left him catatonic.
It's quite possible.
Okay, so I don't know. I feel like he was mixing things. Okay, that's what I'm doing now.
Okay, so I'm just going to go really quick. Hi, Septina. So the first that I pulled out was from the Lunatic Lenormand, and I pulled the first three cards. I got the hearse, which is the coffin card in this deck. I got dog, which represents loyalty, obedience, friendship, relationships, trustworthy relationships. So, and then I got the moon, and the moon, has different connotations. It's about intuition. It's about, I kind of think with the intuition with the moon and the light with the dog, it feels like he might have even kind of maybe seen or felt like his death was coming on. This feels kind of like a premonition, sort of, in a way, with the death, the dog. And when I see with the dog, it's that loyalty, like, the loyalty part kind of gets to me because it feels like there was somebody that was loyal to him, or he thought was loyal to him, that he felt, he could trust. And that card is right next to the coffin card, and then the moon cycle, and the moon showing things that are hidden, secrets, intuition. So then I went looking for, because Mr. Poe is the main male in used for this Lenormand deck. So I went to go find out where he was in the deck, and I pulled some cards, two before and two after, to surround him. So I did get the heart, and I also did get now this is supposed to be like a form of one of the forms of house. So and clouds. Actually, no, this is the clouds. So there was a heart, there was a clouds, there was a very heaviness. The clouds are about confusion. It just he had a broken heart, from what Allyson said, because I don't know a lot about him. It makes sense. He went through childhood. If he had, a problematic where he was traumatized in any way, there could be very well with the heart, the broken heart. The clouds, the clouds are confusion. There are storms. They're chaos. So he was in conflict. He really had emotional conflict. And the cards on the opposite side were ship, which is moving, and then I got the crossroads. So his whole life was about being like at a crossroads. This trauma, this pain, this heaviness around his heart, and it followed him moving through life, coming to crossroads. And I do believe, I also got the mountain, excuse me, and the mountain's about obstacles, but they also put a bird cage in this with the crows coming out. So it feels like at one point that release was gone when he passed. It was like he was free. He didn't have to carry all that in around him. So I end up pulling from my Tarot de Louis deck, which is a Gothic deck. And the first card I got out, I got another moon card. So there were definitely secrets, things that were hidden. Next to it was the Lover's card. So I'm feeling it, that I understand he had a relationship. He was going to get married. There was love in his life. But then the next to it was the Tower. And so things that people did not see that were hidden. I don't know if this moon card maybe represents the shadows, the pain from his past that he couldn't let go of. And it interfered, with his relationships, especially not just with his family or his loved ones, but also with himself. And it became a tower moment for him. And another card that I got from that deck was the Five of Pentacles. So basically being stripped of everything that, you own, who you are, and feeling destitute, knowing that there's help but not wanting to reach out for that help, or not willing to look that there was help there. And the last three cards that I got from that deck is Eight of Swords. So this isn't the typical Eight of Swords being surrounded, but the Eight of Swords has a veil. And I know, Ginger, you got a card with the veil. So the Eight of Swords is knowing that they're trapped, but they know that they have the ability, the power, the means to get out of that cycle. And with it being on, laying her down on the clock, it just feels like this was a continuous day in and day out normal for him. To kind of constantly feel like I'm being surrounded, I'm trying to hide things, I'm trying to repress those emotions, those demons, those dark things. And yes, the next card I got was the Two of Pentacles. So he's balancing, the money, the fame, his past, his whole life was a constant balance back and forth. And I got the Hermit card, and lovely little, her up there with the Hermit card. And so for me, the Hermit just feels like him going in more and more and pushing, people away. And I know that one of the suggestions for his passing have to do with issues with drinking. So when you pull up the cups, so I wanted to, validate that for you.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know a whole lot about him. I want to know
either,
though.
That's good, but Allyson does, so she can validate for us.
So I have a question. Was he one of those? Was he famous while he was alive, or did he not get famous until after? Like, so
no, he was. No, he was famous when he was alive.
Okay. I was just
Go
curious.
ahead, Allyson.
I don't know a lot about him. I read a lot of his work.
Yeah.
I did read an article, like, I don't know, a couple years ago about him. And all I know, and there's a ton out there that you could read on him. All that I do know, his wife was quite young when they got married. They were very much in love. They were married for a long time. She died and it broke his heart. He lost his mother at a very young age. He lost somebody else in his life too. He was adopted by a woman that knew his mom, I believe, if I remember that correctly. And her and her husband, he lost, I think, her. Anyways, all these people died of tuberculosis. He lost his mother at a very, very young age. He watched her die. He saw her die. So that was imprinted on him. So a lot of his very graphic stories probably somehow linked to those memories. So he had a lot of heartache and loss. Eventually, his wife died of tuberculosis. So that much I do remember. And that's really all I know. I know there's more to know. He was somewhat well known and had sold a lot of his art, his work, his writings by the time he died. But he became, very famous after he was dead.
After. Okay, yeah. That's what Ray said
well
too.
known. I mean, people knew who he was, but I mean, he wasn't like Edgar Allan Poe until well after he was dead, because a lot of people thought his stuff was too much. It was too woo.
Yeah.
It was out there.
Yeah, too out there.
But he. Anyways, I pulled a few more cards. Can I go ahead and share them?
Yeah.
This was not a reading. I just pulled more cards on his energy, because when I pulled him, I just did it kind of quick because I didn't know that's what we were going to do. And then I was like, hey, I can go. Anyways, but I pulled more because I felt drawn to do it. And everybody, just be patient with me if you would. I have bought very recently a new deck that I wanted to play with a little bit tonight. I don't know it. Those of you that know me know I don't like to read from books at all. But I'm going to read from this one because this one's very unique. This is the Literary Witches Oracle, and I thought it would be appropriate enough because all the it is kind of dark, and it's about writers, and then it's also got some cards that are very it has like picture cards, and it also has little cards on some authors. It's a really cool deck. So anybody that's looking for anything kind of cool and different, I would definitely check this out. I'm really digging it, but I don't know it, so I have to look the cards up. But I already did that kind of, but I'm going to be referencing my notes. Okay, I digress. So I pulled just a couple set. I pulled a few, and then I pulled a few more, and I definitely feel like 3 go together and 3 are separate. But again, I was just reading on his energy. The first 3 that came out make me feel like actually, I'm not even going to say that. This is what I got. I got Shirley Jackson, and the key word that goes with this is family. I got Flannery O'Connor, and the key word that goes with this one is humanity. And then this deck comes with a bunch of just picture cards, and I pulled White Dress. And so these 3 go together. And what I'm getting from this reminds me very much of how important family was to him. It was incredibly important. He lost his mother at a very young age. And if I remember correctly, and I could be totally wrong, he had a I want to say it was a brother. It might have been a sister. He might have had a brother and a sister. I shouldn't even have said anything. I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't remember, but he was close somewhat to the sibling that survived. And so it was important that he kept that relationship up. Again, I read about him a couple years ago. And then he was adopted by a woman. I believe that was a situation that knew his mother. And she adored him. She treated him like her own child, but the husband it sounds to me like he was jealous is what it was. He didn't attach to him at all. They were very wealthy. And that was the only time he really experienced any wealth in his life. And then once he was old enough, he went off to university, and the stepdad only sent him enough money to get him there and not any to do anything beyond that. And then she died. And no, that's not true. She died right before he went to university, but it was her wish that he would go. So he made sure that happened, and then he basically cut Edgar off. And so, and he wouldn't help him after that. There was no rhyme or reason for it. But that's why I'm getting the family card. Family was a big deal to him. It was important, but it was also like this constant challenge. And then he fell in love with his wife, and then she died tragically, and he watched her and he cared for her for like 3 years or something crazy until she finally died. Humanity. He did care about people, and wanting things to be just and right, and for people to do the right things and all of that. And so this was a big deal to him. And then the white dress is, what is the white? Yeah, appearances, gender, society. For me, this is more about appearances in society. I don't know what gender, what role that would play in him. But again, it's not like I know his life, but I do know a fair bit about him. But this was about, I think, what was important to him. The energy around him is what I got from that. And then I also got, and this was interesting. This, I think, was more about the energy around him when he died or when he was dying. I got the braid, and this is quite literally a braid. Like
wow.
And this is identity, survival, and the opinion of others. This feels like survival and identity, right? In his later times, in his hours. Solitude, he was very much in solitude. He was very much alone, even when he was around others.
The hermit.
I think her name was Emily. I could be wrong. But after he lost his wife, who he adored her, and she adored him too. A lot of people had things to say about their marriage. I remember she was very, very young when they got married, but they didn't consummate their marriage for quite some time, supposedly. I don't know how true that was, but regardless, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And she loved him.
It was.
He loved her, so people need to just get over it, is my opinion. Whether she was young or not. This was a different time.
Yeah.
And then this is, and then I have the elixir card. And this is about health, and it's also about toxicity. Now, I don't remember reading anything about him being a drunk. He might have been, but I don't remember reading that. That doesn't mean that he wasn't. I just don't remember that. I do know he was found very ill and delirious, but it was also believed that he had like multiple illnesses when they found him. So you're going to be wackadoodle, and your brain could possibly be inflamed and everything else. And I do remember reading something about, or I want to say they suspected he might have had rabies.
Oh.
That was one of the things on the list, yeah. And alcohol.
Yeah, and that's all I remember. But so Heather, you saw something about him being a drunk?
Yeah, number 3, it said here, a lot of the ideas that have come up over the years have centered around the fact that Poe couldn't handle alcohol, says Sempner. It has been documented that after a glass of wine, he was staggering drunk. His sister had the same problem. It seems to be something hereditary. Months before his death, Poe became a vocal member of the temperance movement, eschewing alcohol, which he'd struggled with all his life. So
he had a problem with consuming it, but did he consume it? I'm
right.
Well,
a little confused by the wording of that. Does
Yeah.
it say
eschewing alcohol?
Right, which means getting rid of it.
So let's see. So an event toward the end of Poe's life in Richmond that might be relevant to theorists who prefer a death by drinking demise. After making a somewhat miraculous recovery, was told by his attending physician that after such an attack another such attack would prove fatal. So if people would not tempt him, he would not fall. So he did have issues back and forth because people would not, and the doctor told him the next, drinking binge or whatever could be his last.
He was so emotionally tortured. He probably did drink once in a while, and
to hide the pain. Yeah,
alcohol is poison. It just is.
It is.
And some people can deal with it, and other people can't. And then there's everybody in between. I can't drink, so I don't.
Stephen got 10 of quills, page of candles. I'm not familiar with this deck, and the Emperor.
I think the quills are swords.
Swords, yeah.
Is that right, Stephen?
That would make sense.
Page of candles would be wands. Yeah.
Yeah, the candles are wands.
Hi, Mel.
But anyways, solitude and the drink. This can also be poison. This is his health. It's all in solitude. And then the brain, the braid was about social or identity, survival, the opinions of others. So this is like what he was going through in the end. And he was in a lot of pain. He just breaks my heart. It's like, I just want to
give him a hug.
It's so sad. And so, and then really quickly from the what is it called? My Day of the Dead deck. I pulled the world first. And this is around the energy around him, and this is like anyways, the world, 7 of Wands, 10 of Swords. For anybody that knows, it's like, really, that's the energy around him. This is like the first card out is it's over.
Yeah,
it's done, right? That's the first card out. The 7 of Wands is just defending yourself. In this case, it's like against the world. It's like the world against him. He just breaks my heart. The 10 of Swords, it doesn't get any worse than that, right?
Yeah, I also got him.
It's just Barbie. Just look at him. I
when I look in his eyes, it's like pain.
I know. It's like, I love you, Edgar. I just feel bad. It's just really sad. He had a really tragic life, but I'm glad that he did have good love in his life for a while. Because him and again, I think her name's Emily. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Maybe somebody out there knows. They did have a beautiful love affair for many years. I'm glad he had that love in his life.
That happiness.
Yeah.
So Ginger, was there anything else you want to add? Because I pulled a few more cards.
Yeah, I did too. Because I'm glad Allyson did, because I was just like, this isn't enough. If we were trying to delve into him and his mind and his life and stuff. My first one was Page of Swords, and for me that was the, you talk about his wife being really young. It could be that. I'm thinking, Page of Swords, the writer. And maybe he's trying to talk right now about the beginning of his writing journey. And look at what I pulled. It's the King of Wands.
And it looks just like him.
Looks like him. And right alongside him, I pulled
the wife.
The Queen of Wands.
I think her name's Virginia.
Oh,
Virginia.
So to me, both suits being wands, the attraction definitely was there. They had so much passion between them. It's interesting in this card. I don't know if you can see, but it's like she's got, come on, autofocus never works when I want it to. Anyways.
Yeah, Virginia.
There's like a haunting face coming away from her. Here. So there could have been a certain person. Hang on.
Rain pulled some cards.
Could have been a certain persona that she had to put on in public, and yet this other face seems very ethereal to me. And so I'm wondering if she's actually had some connection with the the other world, the divine, because it doesn't look like it in the picture, but I'm perceiving it almost as a crown, as if like her crown chakra and stuff. And then with all these stars around her, I don't know if anybody knows if she was into astrology or into she had some gifts that maybe she couldn't reveal. I don't know, but for this to come up, King and Queen of Wands, that connection between them definitely was strong and passionate. And then as we move on, I feel like he had to, this is 3 of Wands. It's that journey that he chose and waiting for that ship to come in. So, but to me, it's like he's ready. He was ready to travel. Okay, so like the adventure in him was there, and I don't know if he did traveling or was allowed to travel, or it was just a yearning. But in this image, it just looks like a man who's yearning and just longing for something. And then, of course, we got the 10 of blades. And then maybe that's when I feel like this is her death. That maybe when I pulled these, they should have been pulled this way. That he's just lost without her. When she died, he was lost without her and trapped in his own mind. I got the 8 of Swords here. But he was beyond trapped in his own mind. You know, this person is definitely bound to where she cannot break free. Where normally in images they're trapping themselves and they can break free at any time. But I think he was just so far gone in his mind, he would never escape that the loneliness, the strife, and then I feel like that's not it. Oh, well, and then I got like the Queen. He was so sad without her.
Yep.
And there's that white dress. So I was thinking you pulled that white dress.
And white dress, and I got white lilies. So we're getting the white, the purity, the love. Yeah.
So open this deck. Oh, I didn't shuffle. Okay, so yeah, so he tried his best to push on. It's funny, there's a cup again. So I just feel like there's something to do when I pulled that cauldron, some sort of elixirs. So I don't know if he was experimenting to escape, or he was he knew he was, what's the word I want to use? Like dementia. He knew dementia was coming on. He knew he was ill. He knew it had something to do with, because like with all these swords, it had to be of the mind. And I think maybe he was experimenting with things, maybe going to people who were mixers, you know, not necessarily the right kind of doctors, just, you know, those people that just were experimenting with their elixirs. Hey, let's try this.
That's all they were doing anyhow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like he, you know, sounds very low on the totem pole for me to say, but like today, when you're taking too much ibuprofen, it affects your kidneys or your
liver.
Liver.
And so I think all these elixirs he kept trying was just
modern day pharmacy, pharmaceutical.
He wanted to escape too.
Eating at his brain.
And yeah.
So
are you done, Ginger?
Yeah, I'm going to be done.
Okay, because I just wanted to share a couple of comments. Rain said that she has the excuse me, I can't talk tonight. I have the Edgar Allan Poe tarot, pulled 6 of Cups, which also appeared in mine. Queen of Wands, 8 of Wands, nostalgia for his lost queen who was his world, and he fell swiftly into his proverbial death from it. So yeah, I can see that. And then Isadora said Poe might have been a cooping, abducted by gangs and coops where they would be held under terrible conditions and forced to drink large quantities of alcohol and then transported to the polls to vote.
He couldn't even, it sounds like he couldn't.
Wow. Yeah, that's on the list, but that's crazy. Yeah.
I don't understand. As I'm thinking of him and what I had just said previously, I'm getting these sharp pains in my temples.
Yeah, well, they said that he suffered with the swelling on the brain. So I wonder what brought that on. That's what, you know.
Well, if he had rabies, it could have.
Yeah.
Well, we can pull on that too.
And he was a big animal person. I do remember that little snippet because I can relate to that. So I just remembered that. So if he got, you know, bit by a cat or whatever, especially if he was out on the street, who knows?
So I pulled a few more cards too. So he was going to Baltimore or one of the cities to do something for an up and coming writer. So I got the gift card. I got the journey. He was on the journey, and then I got bad health. So that's pretty much documenting, you know, what happened to him. The cards also coming up was despair. I did get a card of message of concern. Doesn't necessarily have to be a female, but that gentleman did send out that card, that letter stating that he was ill. And from that point on, I got pathway and I got coffin. He was on his way, to passing. So I also pulled again from the lunatic. I found where Mr. Poe was in the deck. And the first card that flipped out before I even found him was books, which is interesting because he was literary author. So there's the books. But I also got the white lilies. So the white is about purity, love, chastity, just this purity of heart, purity of spirit. I got the crows, and of course the crows are about chatter, writing, gossiping, but for him, I think a lot of this was going on because I think there may have been some people who had seen the decline. The next card I got, which is interesting, has got a bouquet, and usually bouquets is a very positive card. So I'm not quite sure what this symbolizes because then I have the death card from this deck. So perhaps it was the death of his beloved. Maybe the bouquet represents his beloved and her death, which eventually led him down to, because a lot of people will die of a broken heart. They'll drink and stuff, yes, but they die of a broken heart. And I did pull from the Tarot de Louis, and I did get the 3 of Cups. So there's the cups, there's the parties, there's the drinking, there's the celebration. I did get 10 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Pentacles to me represents, the success that he did have. But what's really interesting with this deck is that underneath her, there's like a river and it runs red. So for me, this could, has a bit of a little creepy feel of, 10 of Pentacles, celebrating access, good times, material, the finances and things that people would have, because when you have the money, then that's when people come and you try and you think. It's the same story that happens over all the generations. People get into money, here, try this, try that, and then next thing you know, because I did get then the 5 of Swords. So there was that dagger, in the hand. So 5 of Swords. He was, for me, it feels not a conflict, not only, but I feel like it was more of like an emotional, a mental conflict, mentally, just with everything that he'd been through. And then the cards that just came out after that, I got Judgment. So it feels like crossing over. 6 of Cups, like Rain, got nostalgia, missing her, being very sad. I also got the 6 of Pentacles, which is interesting. I'm not sure how this fits in, but it was interesting how the 6 of Cups followed by the 6 of Pentacles. So I don't know if he was balancing those bouts of the melancholy with the wealth between, drinking or whatever to escape the pain. I did get Queen of Cups. For me, that feels very much like his beloved that he lost. And the card right after that, I got Tower. And I got the 3 of Swords, which is a pretty graphic card in this deck, but it just shows the amount of pain that, he went through. Literally, the heart was just cut right out of his chest. I also got the 10 of Wands, which is oppression. And of course, on this one here, her dress is on fire. And then the Ace of Cups, which for me is just that amount of emotions just overflowing, the oppression. It just got to be too much for him. And so those are the cards that I have pulled so far. And Allyson, was there anything else you wanted to add? Or do we want to ask another question now moving forward?
I want to no, and did we, I'm sorry, I just pulled from another deck because I just wanted to, and I was just pulling on him in general. And I just did 5 cards, and then we can move on to whatever we're going to move on to. I just wanted to pull from my Poe deck. And I got the 8 of Candles, Strength, the Empress, 2 of Paws, the Lovers. So this is, this is his whole life, which was just his whole energy, 8 of Wands, he did take action and he did move forward in spite of everything. He stayed in his strength, and I got strength the first time I pulled on him. I got strength clarified by the Empress. This would be Virginia, I'm sure, his wife or his mom, or it's just maternal energy. He loved women too. Like if you read about him, because there was something he wrote, something about women being angels. And it, he was very romantic, right? In nature, like he romanticized a lot of it because of the loss of his mother and then his beautiful, and his wife was also his cousin. Kind of left that out. I just remember that. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's enough. But they also did that back then, So, it was a little like for now, it'd be like, oh my God, but they were in love. So whatever. The advice here, Two of Pentacles for them, or him is just balancing things out and the outcome, the lovers. And then I clarified it. And I got so sad. I got the Santa Muerte card for that deck. So this is the ending, right, of their partnership. But the King of Wands of him, moving forward as best he can. Three of Pentacles, just trying to make everything work. Because he did keep writing. He actually wrote a couple of his best works afterwards. So it's just tragedy, and more tragedy. Yeah. So yes, of course we can move on to whatever we want to read on specifically. But I did just another, on him, just his energy and all that. It's the same stuff coming out that I had read, and it's been a while. And if anybody knows anything else, feel free to comment. But
Steven's got one.
Read about him. I'll read about him now, but I didn't.
This is interesting. Steven said he was found in front of the polling place on election day and someone else's clothes. So that was called the copying. So I'm trying to see if I can maybe pull some cards on that to see what the cards would say about.
I remember hearing about that, but how the hell do we know they were? And I believe it, but it's like, how do they know he was wearing somebody else's clothes? I mean, did he have on a dress? I mean, how would you know that they weren't his clothes?
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. How would they know that? Or maybe I don't know.
Because he was incoherent. He was not communicative when he was found. I remember that. And
he went to a toga party, and when he was trying to reach for his own clothes, reached for somebody else's by mistake.
Exactly. Like, how do they know? And I do remember hearing that much, or reading that much, I should say, but I don't. Again, and I thought about reading something, and then I was like, no, I'll wait until after we do this. And now I'm kind of wishing that I had.
Yeah, me too. So I had a question in my head, so I pulled it. Okay. I don't know why it came to me, and I had to ask, was he trying to die to be with his beloved? So I was asking that as I was shuffling, and I come up with the Five of Pentacles.
Unconsciously, he probably was.
But look at this. Here's this man, this, and look at up here, the angel coming, reaching for him.
It does. It does.
So that was really interesting that card came out when I asked, were you trying to die to be with your beloved? And then I'm like, I have to pull one more just to clarify. And I got here the Five of Cups. And for me, the Five of Cups is mourning a loss. But look at someone up here in the tree. Yeah. So it's like she was watching him from above, watching over him. And he just, whether he was doing it on purpose or not, he just yearned for her, to be with her for so much. And he just didn't care about his health at a point.
Yeah.
Once she was gone, and he lived for years.
Once
she was gone, I think, she was 24 when she died.
Yeah.
If I remember, 24, 25, something like that. And she was only like...
What'd she die of?
She was tuberculosis.
TB.
Oh.
They all did. His mom, his wife, his stepmom.
That would make sense because I was having this
brother. It was a brother. His brother.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Because also while I was asking earlier about things, I was feeling this, you can't see.
Oh.
A pressure in my lung area, but off to the left side. But it wasn't the heart, but it was off to the left side.
Bye, Jen. Thank you for being here.
Bye,
Thank you,
sweetie.
everybody, for joining us. I'm trying
Let's
to do my
talk
best to
soon,
keep up
Jen.
with chat. Thomas came in. Hello,
Yeah,
Thomas. Teresa Hadarian came in. Were you done, Ginger? I just wanted to share a few cards.
No, and then Garnet came in. Teresa.
Yep, Garnet was up a little bit. Yep.
Sonia,
Say hi to Garnet.
good. Yeah, I just wanted to. I just had just for one strange reason to ask that question, and it was amazing that those two cards came out.
I just keep getting weird cards. I get like two cards that make sense, and then there's one next to it that I'm like, what? So I'm just going to share a few more. I did pull this. This card keeps flipping out, so it's the Wheel card. So the Wheel of Fate, and in this deck, it's the three fates, and you have that red line. And this could very well also, he lost three women in his life, so that could be a possible connection too with the Wheel of Fortune, the loss. I did get the Strength card, and I feel like to him, this was her. She was his strength. Eight of Pentacles. She's sitting on this. This female sitting on a book and being literary. And then I got the Devil. So for me, the Devil, represents addictions and things. So I feel like at that point, that's where he was trying to take care of, trying to drown his sorrows, or to maybe find. Now in this deck, the Ace of Wands, there's no wands, but there is a key. So something to do with the lock or the key. Ace of Wands is action. Then I got the World card. So like what Allyson was saying, I felt like everything had come for a full circle. There was really nothing left more for him to do. And then I got the Judgment card again, where it shows them crossing over into a brighter, beautiful place. And I did see that Rain mentioned that he was very cynical about the afterlife. So I find that very interesting. But yeah, to be wearing somebody else's clothes too. I don't know. I just they gave several possibilities. Okay, so the first one was a beating, that he had gotten into a fight over ruffians. We know what it was like that, like back in the day. People were easily robbed and beaten. Of course, there was the cooping that we already pulled cards on, where they they grab you, they get you intoxicated, and then they make you vote. That doesn't sound right with this one for me personally.
You're right.
The alcohol I resonate with. Then there was another one called carbon monoxide poisoning, because of the coal and stuff that they used during that day. But he was traveling, so it wasn't like. Then there was another one here called heavy metal poisoning. And it says here, while Donnie's testing relieved levels of heavy metal consistent with carbon monoxide poisoning, the tests did reveal elevated levels of mercury in Poe's system months before his death. So Poe's mercury levels were most likely elevated as a result of the cholera epidemic he'd been exposed to in July of 1849. While in Philadelphia, Poe's doctor prescribed calomel or mercury chloride. Mercury poisoning could help explain some of Poe's hallucinations and delirium before his death.
Right.
I don't know if Allyson heard that, but
do you want to start pulling on the energies around his death? It's past 9 o'clock.
Did you hear that, Allyson, about the heavy metal poisoning with the mercury and stuff? Because
that was one of the things. There were so many things they suspected, and they also talked about some sort of testing with him or something, but they didn't do real autopsies back then, so I don't even know what. This was like in 18. When did
All right, I got it. We're going to exhume his grave and do some testing.
Because it's like, honestly, when I was reading about it, they listed like 6 different things that it could have been. The rabies jumped off the page at me, and I was like, "That's it."
That's what I'm looking at right now is rabies.
And I was like brain, and rabies affects the brain.
And then what did you say? And you said something about cholera. Was it
the heavy metal poisoning, because the doctor gave him mercury. to help fight the cholera levels.
It was a combination of things. He didn't die of just something, but the swelling of the brain was what did him in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can't.
Do you want to read on the rabies?
And one other thing, really, really quickly. Let me just say this because I remembered something when one of you were talking. It like popped in while I was looking at my cards. I was like, yeah. To myself is when he went off to university, he didn't have any money. And he was broke, and his stepdad wouldn't give him any money and whatever. So he started gambling, and he ended up like what would be like, I don't know, very in debt. That's why he left university, because there were people after him and he couldn't pay it back. So he split.
No.
And that's when he went on the lam, and then he got a job as a journalist or something like that. I don't know, someplace, something with a paper or something, but it was far away from wherever it was that he was going to school. But anyways, the gambling started there, and he might have done some drinking then. I don't remember there being any mention of drinking, but maybe I just don't remember it. But it was about the
well,
gambling.
Drinking and gambling go hand in hand, but doesn't mean he was an alcoholic or a drug.
And that might be how he ended up without clothes. If he gambled his ass off and he was drunk, he could have
played strip poker.
And then he ended up with somebody else's clothes because he just had to get some clothes somewhere. Maybe he was wearing clothes that didn't fit right, and so people just assumed or whatever. But I don't know.
So I have an idea. Do
another poll, but go ahead.
Do we want to each like pick a possible scenario? Like I could pull on the rabies idea. If you Allyson, if you wanted to pull on and see if it had to do because of his debt in university, and
I can do the brain thing.
Huh?
Yeah, well, there's 6 different examples of how what they think, what happened.
Right, but you said, wait, say that again, because I thought you said read on him. University was years and years and years before he died.
The debt. She said something about owing the debt. Did somebody kill him?
No.
I don't think that.
Across the country, and this was nobody knew where anything was. I mean, I can, but no, that's not.
No.
He died. He was
all right. Okay. Well, I'm going to pull cards on the rabies possibility.
Okay.
I did pull some cards. I pulled, and this was just on his what did I say? Oh, I asked about the drinking. I just was like, tell me about the drinking. What was the deal with the drinking?
Okay.
And I got death, the Empress, the Fool, the 4 of Paws, and the 5 of Candles. So to me, the outcome here, this is just his fight in general, the fight that just his life. And I just did a 5-card spread. The advice is just to keep holding on. 4 of Paws, right? Which is like 4 of Pentacles, which is so cute. Look at this little black cat that's sitting here. That's his, the deal. But what spurred it all was just the endings in general. That's what I'm taking this death card to be. And then, the Empress, clarified by the Fool, which is the hidden influence, which is just, he was so determined to just keep going, figure it out, to stay going. But I think that she or the women in his life were just very important to him, dead or alive. And I really think that happens a lot with children, boys especially, but boys and girls when they lose their mothers at a very young age. So, and he saw her die. That's a big, big, big deal. So, but anyways, I just wanted to share that.
Stop.
And Flowing said TB can affect more than the lungs, can affect brain, kidneys, and more. He probably had syphilis too.
That actually came up in my mind earlier.
He didn't have tuberculosis. Well, who knows? Again, I don't trust the testing they did back then, but he wasn't coughing blood or doing any of the stuff that you do with tuberculosis.
Yeah.
But she mentioned the syphilis, and that swells the brain too.
And he definitely, of course, I don't think he was promiscuous. They didn't say anything about women after his wife, but who knows?
Temperance just came flying out. Did you have anything else, Ginger? Or did you have any other cards, Allyson?
I didn't, honey, but I can pull on. Do we want to just read on? Or I'm sorry, what did you want to? You're reading on what?
Well, I went to go pull cards on rabies, and I didn't get
On his
anything.
rabies.
Yeah, and I got nothing out of that.
Yeah. Well, do we want to just read on what led up to his death?
Yeah. I mean, I pulled on the energies of what led up to him being found.
Okay, I'm going to close my phone off.
So, I'm gonna just try to go in sequence and see what comes up because it's interesting. So, again, the Queen of Wands came up. So, I'm just gonna show you the cards real quick. I got the Lovers card.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me get you in there. Go ahead, sweetie.
I got the Lovers card. I got the Devil card.
I had that before too.
So when these two came up, he might have been being a little promiscuous that night, but doesn't mean he, had sex or anything, but was being very, very friendly with somebody. And there's those cups again, something around elixirs. Did somebody slip something in his drink to send him over? Let's see, I got the Queen of Pentacles. I had a feeling this card would come up tonight. When I was shuffling earlier before I even got on with Heather.
I got it too.
It's the missing. He's searching for the missing piece of the puzzle. I just got that. We are so trying to search for that missing piece of the puzzle. I got the Ten of Swords again. This is a third or fourth time tonight we got the Ten of Swords. And then I got the Four of Swords. So in the end, getting that too. In the end, he was released. But as far as trying to figure out the energy surrounding what led up to him being found, no.
Apparently, according to Isadora, he was engaged again when he died.
Was he?
That's what I thought I read too.
Really?
Was he engaged? And he was
I'm getting cards that look like that.
Because maybe this is his new. Maybe this Queen of Pentacles is his new person. But maybe he was caught being a little promiscuous that night. I'm trying to figure out this puzzle. I'm trying to figure out the puzzle.
I'm getting a lot of major arcana.
Definitely a lot of major arcanas tonight. I want to read on this one in her book, see what it says for the Temperance. Bringing opposing forces into balance and harmony. But Temperance sometimes is about that being out of balance, missing, trying to find balance. He's lost his head in this picture, this person. So definitely, oh my God, I see another image of a person standing right here. There's the arm. All right, I might need to marinate on this a few more minutes. You guys can go.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead. I'll let Allyson go, and then I'll go after Allyson.
Okay. So what I pulled, what I was asking this Poe deck was, what was the energy around him when he was found in that state that he was found in, which was like a whole hot mess. And I got that I think just the way I'm interpreting it is just prior to all of that, he had felt hopeful in some way, or he had some sort of healing energy feeling around him. Maybe this was this woman, which I didn't even know if there was anybody. But, and by the way, one of you said, I think it was you, Ginger, I did pull the Queen of Wands a little while ago with one of those spreads. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I pulled it again.
I ended up doing a new spread, which I rarely do, but that card was in there, and there was something else, and I was like, I don't know what this is, and I wanted to, so I just pulled again. because I wanted it to be crisp and I wanted to understand the message.
Right.
But anyways, so I had the star. So that was, like when they found him, this was the energy that he had more recently been in some sort of way. This could have just been the love that had come through his life. So important to him to have this female energy around him.
Yeah.
I do know that he loved his wife dearly, but by the time this next person would have come in, years
had passed. Yeah.
But anyways, the world though is where he was.
I got the world too.
He knew he was dying. He knew it was over. He knew the jig was up. I really do believe that's what this was. The hidden influence, though, this Page of Wands absolutely could have been.
I got that too.
This younger person around him, and I don't usually read it that way, but I have a feeling that might be what that is. The advice 9 or Knight of Candles, which would have been his energy towards whoever this is or was, but the outcome. 5 of Candles. He knows the jig is up. The 5 of Wands to me is the fight, just the fighting of just his. Again, I'm reading on the state that he was in when they found him. And I do think his body just gave in. I think he was still, and there was something about him being incoherent.
He was. Yeah, and he was calling for somebody.
Yeah, and I think he was very strong. I think he just had my God, he wrote a rough life for himself.
Right.
But anyways, I think he was in love. I mean, there could be other ways to interpret this, but knowing that information that came in, that's how I'm seeing this. There was a light there, but I don't know. I think he was hopeful. I don't think he ever gave up hope, but he also knew his body was done. He knew he was sick. That's what I'm making of this world in the present tense for him, because again, I'm asking about when he was found. So in the present tense position, he knew it was over. And look at this world card too in his deck. Look at that.
Yeah, I got the world card too.
That's interesting.
This is a skull. This is death, right? So
this looks like his raven and skull symbol,
Yeah.
And I just pulled one of those. Yep.
And this is his shadow too. Like when you look at that, that's in the deck. That's him from the back with raven wings. This is his hair in the deck.
Yeah.
This is Poe's head, and it's got the candle melting down onto the skull. But anyways, no, I don't think he ever gave up with his heart. He was full of hope, but he knew he was a goner. He knew he was. He was.
Yeah.
He knew he was sick. He probably had a couple diseases going, and then something else happened, and it just took him lights out.
My
That's
God.
what I feel like.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead if that's okay. So I was getting lost in cards. You girls were getting. I got Temperance, then I got the World, and then I got the Chariot. So he knew he was on the way out. I got the Star card, and someone had mentioned Star earlier. Still trying to maybe hold out for hope, maybe with this new relationship. And this is interesting. I got the King of Wands, and in this deck, they kind of make him a vampire. And I said, well, can I have another clarifier for the King of Wands? And it gave me the King of Swords, and that came out when Allyson was pointing out the skull, and he's got like a crow feather, something in or around on his cloak here. So that was really interesting. Then, of course, I got the Death card. So there's just death right there. I did get 5 of Wands. He was struggling. I know this has to do with the relationship, but it feels like, it was just, they knew that his body was coming apart. I did get the Hierophant. So I'm wondering if this might have represented, because Hierophant, back then was church and, certain institutions, and he was engaged. He was supposed to get married. Yes. But I believe that 8 of Cups, walking away, leaving things behind. He knew he was on his way out, or he really didn't want to. I don't even know if he really wanted to marry her. I think he just wanted to be with his other beloved. And that was the last card I had, was the Lover. So in a way, this is kind of bittersweet
I had something similar. Go ahead, though.
As it feels like at the end, he was reunited with his beloved, once he passed.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So that was that very last card in my pull, the Lovers, and I said, okay, there we go.
Well, when you pulled that bouquet along with either the coffin or the death cart, I can't remember which one. That thought came to my mind exactly, that he was finally happy that he was going to see his beloved. So I'm going to go back to this this new person in his life, because this is what I was thinking when you were saying, before you were saying, while you were doing your reading, that, because remember I said I see somebody here. I see somebody here. And it's like I think he saw in her his wife, in the new girl. And she just wasn't her. So that was like a missing puzzle piece for him. I'm still wondering if that night, having this devil card come up with being friendly with another woman here is a little interesting to me.
He might have been lonely. I mean,
Right. So I can't say that he may have been out having a drink and then getting promiscuous. I don't know. But this kind of makes sense to me here. The energy surrounding as they found him. He was gone. He was gone mentally by the time they found him, but then he found peace. And look at this raven right there. Then
beautiful.
I pulled the judgment card, his ascension. But I asked, again, about the energy at that time. He was like incoherent, and I got the werewolf card. Look at that.
Wow. Okay.
There was a lot going on inside him, a transformation that was happening. His body couldn't handle it. It was like being struck by lightning. I'm still going with something with the brain, and again, like Allyson said, I believe it was more than one thing, and that's why he was trying to find
contributing factors.
Yeah, trying to find elixirs to help himself, because this is exploring wilderness. So I think he was doing a lot of experimenting that maybe we didn't know about. But with all the cups, I feel like experimenting with elixirs, not necessarily being the drinker and the drunk, especially after. I mean, that's what I've been feeling anyways, but especially after Allyson said he couldn't physically handle drinking.
Yeah, that's what it said.
So in the end, he when they found him, he was mentally gone. He was done.
Yeah.
Then he's finally resting at peace.
Yeah. That's sad. And Allyson Flowing says she wants to get that Poe deck. Now, where did you find that?
It's really cool. I got it at a local.
It's on Amazon, I believe. Anyway,
you can probably Amazon? Order it. Okay. I bought it at a local store.
Okay.
To me, really quickly, at the bottom of the deck, from the cards that I read a few minutes ago, I didn't notice until Ginger was up on the screen. At the bottom of the deck, I had I was just reading about the state that he was found. No, wait, what did I read on? Yeah, the energy surrounding the state that he was found in. But at the bottom of the deck, and remember, in what I read regarding that, this other person was mentioned in it. But at the bottom of the deck was the 10 of Cups with the Empress. Just saying. So, which could be, I don't know if that's Virginia or. And by the way, while Ginger was reading, I did find it. Her name was Sarah, the gal that he was engaged to, and they had a romance when they were young, when he was at college at University of Virginia, but it was split up by their parents, and then they met again years later, and they were engaged when Poe died.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was looking deeper in this image of this Four of Swords. and I said he's finally at rest and he's at peace. You could look, it's two lovers, and it looks like he has a mustache.
Oh my God! Yeah, look at Allyson right there.
It's
Can you
two
see the
faces. It's
faces?
the lovers.
Oh my God!
They were
I
finally
see one face
reunited.
for sure now. Yeah,
I see
So
two
this is
faces.
female, and this is him, and I see this mustache
Oh,
right
I
here.
do see the other face
Isn't it?
now.
Here,
Yep.
wait.
Yep.
Ah,
Wow, very
I'm
cool.
trying not to pick his nose. There's a mustache.
Yep. Yep, I see it. The other one's really obvious.
Isn't that
Yeah, I see them
incredible?
both.
Oh, and I'm
I wouldn't
looking at
notice that.
such joy in his face right now.
Oh,
Oh, look, and there's two white doves as well.
there's the white again. Yep.
What?
Oh,
I mean,
he's missing.
that's the most interesting Four of Swords.
A celebration of family.
There's also a black cat and a crow, and there's three.
Wow. Yay,
And he was
Black
really
Kitty.
into the whole, he wrote, I don't think I ever read that one. There was some story that was very much around a black cat. And then we all know the raven.
Right, we're all know the raven. But yeah, there's a black cat in this tree. On his, yeah.
This deck has the black cat all through it. That's what the paws are the pentacles.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's crows on my lover's card too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny we're talking about, ravens, whichever you want to say.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And I pulled a couple. Are you done?
Yep. Sorry.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt. And just really quick, I pull again from the lunatic, just going up to his passing. I did get the trees this time, and trees in the Lenormand represent health, being sure, taking care of your health, not necessarily family, but really just looking into basically like family tree health. So boom, I got that. Then I got the white lilies again.
Wow.
So he was having definite health issues, and I got the letter. And so he may have already known ahead of time, maybe from a doctor or something, that and then his card came up that something was not going well. And I got the crows and the raven. And for me, even though this is about, communication and talking and stuff, I feel like because of it being, his totem animal, and crows and ravens being known to be connected to the other world and to death and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that's, exactly leading up to, he already knew ahead of time his health was shot. It really was.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
You don't have to embiggen me. That's what I forgot earlier when you mentioned about he saw it coming. And when I had the card with the veil and the future,
Mm-hmm.
he saw his own death.
Yeah,
like
could very well be.
Yeah.
And Stephen asked us, anybody know?
Yeah.
Has Poe as a spirit guide? I don't know of anybody.
Would you say, Allyson?
I think he probably, well, I don't know that he was, but how could you not be?
Be what?
Like spiritual or well, not spiritual. Like he probably was either psychic or any of the Claires, given the trauma that he experienced.
I feel his wife was when I pulled that one card. I felt
early life, right? But I mean, like for what he experienced at a very young age, but he was, what's very interesting too is a lot of people that are very, very artsy,
yes,
have experienced trauma.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And like all the people that I've known throughout my life that were really, whether it be writing, painting, drawing, whatever.
Me.
They experience some sort of we've all been through hard things. I'm talking about, and but like especially what he experienced, he saw her die.
Yeah. Well, I said earlier I felt like he was channeling his work. Mm-hmm.
That's horrifying for a baby.
It is.
Yeah. I got I asked, last file. I know that they didn't have kids, but I did get the clouds again. And I did get one of the child cards, and it feels like this is representing his life, his early life. And then, of course, the bouquet for me represents her coming into his life. And of course, the crossroads. And I did get the stork is supposed to be about fertility and patterns, following patterns, setting a nest, fertility, beginning of new projects. But then, there's the mountain again. There was that obstacle, but with that cage again, with the crows being set free, that was, his release. And before with the other deck, I was shuffling and I got the Chariot and the World card came out again. So, yeah, I really think that he knew his health with everything that he'd been exposed to, what he was going through, what he might have done to help ease the pain. Yeah.
He's so traumatized.
Yeah. I mean, I meet people in my groups through where I go for my counseling and stuff. And it's amazing how some of them how strong people can really be, how resilient. Even, after addiction, and they're still fighting to stay sober and to stay clean and stuff. I can't imagine what they have to deal with, on a daily basis. I would see them once a week, but to be able to, and listen to their stories, for an hour, just that once a week, and going, oh my God, I can't imagine, by the time I'm done with that hour, it's like, sometimes I want to drink. I mean, it just, the energy, it's so heavy, I just want to, grab some food, grab a drink, or get something chocolate, just something that for me is a comfort for me. Cause that was always my comfort was food. It was never drinking or drugs or anything. For me, it was always putting stuff in my mouth to help me, feel better. And so I can't imagine how a lot of these people manage to live and be strong and resilient. That says a lot. It really does.
And it was such a rotten time to be alive anyhow.
It really was. And the pestilence and
all the disease and
the dirty, the just filth.
Yeah, but I love the Victorian clothing and
I know, but we really wouldn't want to live there.
Of it, yes, but the reality is, it was a very
the rich.
Everything was so gross and dirty.
Yeah,
and they wore perfume and talc and stuff just to cover up the smell.
He literally came from a broken home.
Look at that. Yeah, I love that deck. One card came out here. It's the Seven of Wands, but it's a very interesting image. So I'm going to pull
you up so we can see that.
I went to her little pamphlet here, and for her Seven of Wands, this makes sense. It says, standing against real or imagined threats. So he had physical threats. Hello. In the 3D world, and then the threats of his own mind.
I got the Seven of Wands from him. You may remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's cool how we get similar cards.
The Victorian style couch. I mean, it's so.
I know. I love the furniture, the clothing. I play Seeker's Notes. Hey, if anybody in chat on either channels, if you play Seeker's Notes, come find me. I'm Belladonna. I love bringing in new people if they play Seeker's Notes. It's all, story space with you tap and you find missing items and stuff. And it's all beautiful artwork, and it's Victorian era. So it's like steampunk Victorian. It's really cool. So if anybody plays, come find me. I'll friend you.
Steven's talking about big sacks.
I know.
Big egg sacks.
Stop talking about spiders and big sacks, Steven. I don't want to go to bed with. I mean, spiders. Did you see my arm? My poor arm.
Spiders are awesome.
I mean, my poor arm. It's all riddled.
All right. Is there anything final we want to?
Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. Oh, my goodness. So what do you think, Allyson? Do you think we covered it all?
Did we ever? Well, yeah, I guess so. I would say, did we ever really read on what killed him? But there's not really a way to actually. We read all the way around it, but there's really no way to directly do that. Not really.
Well, the only thing I think of is just all of those
multiple
swords that came up, So it's definitely of the mind, of the brain. And I still see elixirs, something to do with elixirs.
Well, he's given all that mercury.
Oh, I think you're right. And I did pull, like I said, I didn't even know about it. Wasn't that what? Yeah, it was the elixir card. It was elixir.
Yeah.
Actual elixir.
You had the elixir card. I had the cauldron.
And I had the Three of Cups.
Yeah.
As Stephen said, let's go out drinking and put on other people's clothes. No, Stephen.
No, yeah, that night, I tell you,
fun.
he played strip poker and got his clothes mixed up with someone else's.
You know what? That could be what happened.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Could be.
All right, let's pull a card on strip poker. One card. Strip poker. Okay. Was he involved in strip poker?
Actually, you know what we could read on just for fun if you guys want to. How did he end up in somebody else's clothes?
Let's do that.
Just for fun.
How did he end up?
I do believe that he did, because I read that as well. But there was no, I remember when I read it thinking, well, how did he know that? And what was he wearing? There was no details. It was like, nothing.
Oh, Stephen, stop it.
What did he say?
Don't make me time you out, my own moderator.
Is he getting frisky?
He's letting us know that he's
in the nudity. He's in the nudity.
Birthday sake. A cold beer would be good right now.
Oh my God! Look at my card.
I have mead. I should have
some mead. What were we asking?
If he was playing strip poker.
What? How did he end up in someone else's clothes?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
What does that say?
Look at this bizarre card. And big in this card.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Go ahead.
Okay, it's the Four of Wands, but look at the image.
Is it the Four? Oh, the Four of Wands. Okay. Oh, wow.
But look at the image.
Yeah.
He had his clothes off that night.
It's a celebration.
So. In the presence of another woman.
Four of Wands.
He had his clothes off.
That was what I said. Was he wearing a dress? How do they know he had somebody else's clothes on?
Yeah.
Right. Four of Wands.
Take me off the big screen.
Oh.
Four of Wands.
Sorry.
It's the Emperor's clothes.
Right. How?
Huh. This is interesting. I got the heart. Interesting. Okay. I got clouds again. Oh. So something was clouding his heart. Maybe he was, Then I got the child card, which doesn't mean he was with the child, but
I'm sorry.
Child, being childlike, someone was being child. I don't know. And then I got the fox, somebody that was a trickster or mischievous. So it could be that, he might have been flirty, or he might have been out and someone decided to play a prank. I mean, that's some hell of a, I don't know.
So I was just saying he was in the Emperor's clothes. Look what I pulled. The King of Pentacles.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, Isadora was right. The gang would change the clothes of the people they abducted.
How was a cross-dresser, he says.
No, he wasn't.
Well, we don't know. But flowing. I think he's lost so much weight it looked like he was in someone else's clothes.
I don't know. I'm going to, Isadora, I'm going to pull cards on that. I'm curious.
The gang?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just
okay.
See what I get. You guys don't have to, but I'm just curious. Okay, so did Poe end up in someone else's clothes because of being abducted by a gang? Was Poe abducted by a gang?
I think he
changed his clothes. Because he might have been wearing good clothes and they wanted it and they took it off of him. Because back then, poor people did whatever they could to survive. Stealing, prostitution, abducting and selling people to the underground.
Oh, no, they say when a person goes through hypothermia, all of a sudden they get super hot and they rip their clothes off. So maybe he was running down the strip, had a hot flash, ripped his clothes off, and found the nearest.
Isadora. Remember, they said they found him outside the governor's house where the polling place was, the judging judicial place. Look what I just got. Courthouse was the first card out.
That's funny.
Community. There's the child card again. And despair. Boy, I'm telling you. I don't know, Isadora.
All right.
And on the bottom, I got bad health. I'm going to ask for a clarifier on that child. That's interesting. Because that's where he was found. Outside the courthouse or government house where the voting was taking place. What was that, Allyson? Oh, she's still shuffling. I want a clarifier on that child card. The house.
Was it possible he was in women's clothing? I was joking.
And they just don't want to say?
Will one of you read on that? Was he in women's clothes?
It's interesting because I keep being a female child with a dress on. And I asked for a clarifier and I got the house card. So, I don't know. Let me take a look on that list.
I think he was in women's clothing, maybe.
Were you in women's clothing?
And if anybody in the chat is reading,
Women's clothing.
or Steven's got cards out. Steven, would you read on that? I think he might have been in, doesn't mean he was in a dress, but was he possibly not in men's clothing?
This is what I got when I asked.
Oh my God. Steven said he had on a little black dress and pumps.
He's such a goofball.
He is, but look at the card she's holding. She's wearing black.
I think he was. That's how they just, and they didn't say it, but that's how they just knew he wasn't in his clothes.
I'm telling you, he was playing strip poker and just put the wrong clothes on at the end. So I had asked, what was your...
I think he might have been in women's clothing.
Could have been a cross-dresser.
Yeah,
so I asked, what was the cause of your death? And this is the card I pulled. And I just...
hold on. Sorry.
I think flirting with death. It's a skeleton of a snake and a skeleton of a bird of some sort.
Rabies.
Could be. Oh my gosh.
Snake is poison.
And it could be a little bit of everything.
Bite.
But he's kissing. It's like she kissing this bird. He was playing with death. He was flirting with death. He was doing things that he didn't care if he died or not.
Steven added she was wearing pearls.
I think he had
Don't forget the pearls. Don't forget the pearls. Pearls and pumps. Pearls and pumps.
He was dressed like a woman.
But look at this though. The thief card came out. The thief card came out again for me. So he might have been robbed. He was delirious. Somebody might have taken advantage, saw that he was delirious. He was not well. They took off his good clothes because they said when they found him, he was wearing secondhand shabby clothes. Whether it's female's clothes or not, I did get the thief card. So he might have been jumped and he might have been robbed. Like I said, people, were desperate. And if, he wasn't in his right mind and he was delirious or not with it, he got jumped. They took off those clothes. They could sell those clothes for good money. And then, throw him in whatever they had. That's a possibility, too. Let's see. Cosmic Orphan said, Poe deck, he got 8 of candles and, wait a minute, Ace of candles and 8 of candles and strength. So 8 of wands and Ace of wands.
The beef card.
The beef card. No, the thief.
Thief.
Where's the thief?
Where's the beef?
Where's the thief? Right there. Yeah, I just keep looking at the despair, the bad health. And the card says high honor, but a lot of times too, when I look at this, for me, it feels like someone's taking aim. Someone's taking a shot at somebody. So it's not always high honor. It's someone in front of a firing squad, as in someone's taking a shot at you.
Wow. I just asked the African goddess rising
Here.
oracle about his death.
Yeah.
I got Marie Laveau. This is about good juju.
Oh
He got his wish. This is what he wanted. He wanted to die. He wanted to die. He didn't want to suffer anymore. I think he never gave up, but the reality was he wanted to be with his mother. He wanted to be with his wife. They were on the other side. That's what I think this means. Wow.
I love that.
I really do. Naked at the bottom of the deck. This is about truth.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yep.
So I was asking if he had a message. What does he want us to know right now? Or, what's the takeaway and I pulled, this is called The Fates. And I wanted to read what her interpretation was, since she's such a surrealistic artist. I love it. It says, an unexpected yet positive twist in the game of life, a new beginning based on forces of fate, destiny, or prior actions. So I agree with what Allyson was saying just now. That went perfect with that.
Yeah.
I just pulled some cards.
Death is the beginning.
I don't blame him.
Death is only the beginning.
It's interesting. Isadora said he might have also been beaten by his fiance's brothers, and I'm like, well, but I thought, you know what?
Yeah, because he got shot.
He might not have,
Caught being promiscuous.
They might not have liked. And what I pulled was interesting. I got pathway, I got unexpected income, and then I got bad health. But after the bad health, what comes after the bad health was the marriage. So something to do, and then I got a message of concern. So somebody in this family might have been concerned about this prenuptial, and they may have arranged it. And there's the children. There's the child card too.
Her children did not want them to get married.
Oh.
I just read that on Wikipedia.
There you go. So Isadora, good call.
They were against it, her adult children, because they were old. They were older when this was.
But not necessarily the brothers, but the children.
Yeah, this Sarah lady, her children.
I got the werewolf card again. It literally popped out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Community.
Where's the after party going to be? I'm willing to drive.
Yeah, there's the child, the wealthy man, in the courthouse. That's where he was found. Wow. Also interesting too. I got community. So if this is a possible line to follow, I got community, which could represent people in the community who did not like him, that was in this fiance's circle, family, siblings, whatever, because he never made it to Virginia. I did get the imprisonment card. They may have grabbed him, roughed him up. I got sudden wealth. They might have taken whatever money and stuff off of him, because then I got the child card again, came up. And then I got wealthy man. And then I got the courthouse where they left him. So they, knowing that he was wealthy, or not wealthy, but that's the only card that doesn't make, but that's a possible scenario. I'll probably be still pulling cards after we're done.
I know, right?
And be like, oh, I got it. Or I'll be like Rorschach, oh, Mr. Cotter.
Ooh.
Yeah. He was poor and she had money. She came from money. Thank you, Isadora.
No, Sarah, his fiance, had inherited like $100,000, it said, but the agreement was that she would not remarry, and so, but Poe was pressing her to marry him, And they did get engaged, but then he just died.
So there you go.
But
That could be a part of it too.
There's nothing here that indicates foul play or murder.
Right.
He was just, his health was crap, and they didn't end up getting married. And so she maintained her fortune, because back then $100,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah, probably close to like $1 million now. I'm just going to pull some cards.
I did. I pulled some oracles out of the Halloween deck. I got forgiveness. So I'm asking like for messages now. What messages would he want to say? Forgiveness, reducing burden. There's that white flower again you pulled earlier. And then I got skeleton, and it's about strength. So even at his weakest point, maybe he was still trying. No, I retract that. But look at the hole in the skull. I wonder if he, and they didn't catch it, if he actually fell at some point, and that was like the end thing that just made him pass out. Hit his head, or he got hit on the head. I got invisibility, authenticity. So I was just thinking about that. He's invisible to us now, but we celebrate that authenticity that he was as a person, to us anyway. And then, interesting enough, I got the witch. Don't know what that means, but it's
of course it's green.
The earthly.
Sorry.
The earthly wearer of the worlds. Earthly weaver of the worlds. Yeah, she's green. Earthly weaver of the world. He did weave a lot of stories, and I still go back to when I said I feel like he was channeling some of these stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of this, I've been discovering that's what comes with my art too. I'll draw something or I'll paint something. I don't see anything. I take a step back, and there's a shape of a face. There's a profile. I showed Allyson a picture that I did from drawing. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, look it. I got a nature spirit in my picture. So I'm sure anybody who's really tapped in creatively, and that could be anybody, that could be any of us, if we just learn how to trust in our own intuition and our own creativity, and just, do what it is that we love to do creatively, that divine, that'll be just channeled naturally right through us.
Well, it's funny because when I was learning how to draw the face, every time I drew a man's face, he looked like an Indian. So with the cut cheekbones, it just always looked like an Indian. And then one time I'm like, I'm tired of it looking like an Indian all the time. So I tried to erase it, but the image was still on my paper. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this one the Indian spirit. And I drew a fire pit, and I drew a wolf on a cliff for his cunning and strength. And I drew an owl in the tree for his wise and intuition and stuff like that. And then years later, I went to see a psychic, and I had a reading. And she says, one of your guardian guides is named Many Moons. And I thought, oh my God, was I drawing this guardian guide all those times? Was that him? And probably. Coincidentally, a few years after that, I'm watching one of these explorer type shows, and they were talking about oh my God, the explorers. Oh my God, I can't even think of the explorer's name. They're famous.
Lewis and Clark.
So it was, I don't know if it was Lewis and Clark. I think there was another pair. But either way, this documentary was talking about they had a guide, and the guide's name was Many Moons. So I found that all fascinating.
Oh, very interesting.
Or what, right?
Very interesting.
Abbott can
Oh,
swallow that.
hello.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Stephen, you really should look into stand-up.
Right.
Honestly. Oh, look, Allyson got
Allison
something.
has something.
I did. So I pulled again from the Literary Witches Oracle. And this was just, I said, is there, what else can you tell me about, the ending there with his life? It's kind of interesting. So I got Jamaica Kincaid, and her keyword here is history. And this is about, and I did read the definition. It's brief on all these cards, but this is about, just what happened in his life. What followed him around that he could not get away from, the story, what happened, what he carried with him. And again, look what's interesting here. There's a snake here.
But the clothes hanging up there.
And there's this one, the beak's not quite right, but that is a crow. It's gotta be. And then you have an egg here, which is about new beginnings. I don't usually look for symbology in cards, but I kind of have to in this deck because there's just not much to it. But I loved this. And then the next one I got out was Solitude, which again, this is about in his life in the end, what I'm asking about. And this is, although he might have been around people, he was so alone. He was so in his own world. Even with this Sarah lady, no, he loved Virginia. I think he just did it because he didn't want to be alone. And I don't think he could be alone. I think he was very tortured. He was probably very codependent. He just, when you have your mother ripped away from you as an infant, I don't see how you wouldn't be codependent, because that's a wound that's never going to heal. And then I got the knife. And this is about what was it? This is like hold on a second. Intention, resolution, and conflict. So again, intention, wanting it to be the end. The resolution was for it to be the end. And what was it? Intent? No, conflict. His life was nothing but conflict. I just think this is very telling. That this is what.
And again with the blades, there's a lot of blades in this reading.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I got. Oh, and at the bottom of the deck, I just wanted to show you how here's the apple.
Oh, and it's a nice apple. I hope they say something good about it.
Beautiful apple. And in this deck, apple is, and I'm trying to remember because this deck is still new to me. In this deck, apple is the senses, and he dealt very much with, I'm going to say, like feelings and that kind of stuff, which I don't think that's a stretch to say that at all, but it is at the bottom of the deck. And hold on 1 second.
An apple a day.
Keeps the demons away.
And hunger, and he was hungry in a lot of ways, not hunger in the traditional sense, but just, anyways, I just wanted to say this was at the bottom of the deck, and we're going to spread some positivity on apple.
Yeah, Floyd says knife can cause a wound. He was wounded from all his losses.
Yeah.
And no, Stephen, no happy squirrel card. No hook, no happy squirrels for you. And I went ahead and pulled a few too, and it's interesting because I got the book again. So for me, of course, him being the author, his life, open book, his writing. But then was also interesting because I know we were talking about the brain earlier and the swelling and the possibility of, the syphilis and then the drinking and being exposed to,
poison,
the TB and exposed. I did get the mice card, and the mice are known for nibbling, eating away, deterioration. Yes. So there's the deterioration. He knew he was at a crossroads, and the tower card. And a lot of times towers are hermits, self-imposed loneliness, or just absolute loneliness too. I mean, it could represent, buildings and like schools and things, but with a tower like that, that's usually a very lonely place, where we feel trapped, confined, or we go there. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, girls, it is 10:06.
Woohoo!
2 hours. Time flies when you're having fun. So was there anything, you got anything coming up this weekend, Ginger?
This weekend, no. Next weekend, next Friday the 13th, 5:30 on my channel, I'm doing another Paranormal. And I have a guest who she lives in Arizona, and
Ooh.
has a very haunted land and in her home, and she believes there is
definitely going to have to watch and read along with you.
Yeah. So I've done a reading for her and try to channel some of it, and I believe I'm going to call them shapeshifters. You can call them Wendigo, you can call them skinwalkers, whatever.
Skinwalkers are popular.
We believe there's definitely that kind of energy on there. She has good and bad energies, but she found me by sheer accident. It seemed like, well, not accident. I was on Sun Psychic Jean's channel, and she popped in and she asked about that, and Jean she's never worked with paranormal stuff, and I'm thinking you're a medium. It's the same, same difference. And anyway, so this person contacted me by email and wanted me to read for her in the property. She tried to go to Dead Files, the show Dead Files.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They wanted her to change some things. And from what she's told me, the pictures, the videos I've seen, the reading I did, why would they want her to change anything? It's stories on itself. And so I won't give too much away, but Amber from Lavender Moon will be assisting me, and she'll be using the spirit box.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And on our last show together, Amber and I, this person was in the chat, and all of a sudden Amber got a little startled. She thought she heard her son walk up behind her saying, "Mommy." When she turned around, nobody's there, and it startled her because he's not supposed to be there. He was like supposed to be there or something. But
so they can travel. Mm-hmm.
This person in chat said that one of her spirits said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle her. He just wanted to say hello." Yeah.
Wow.
So very interesting. So
what part of Arizona? Or is she not going to share that?
You know what?
Because I lived in Flagstaff for 8 years.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. And what time is it going to be?
5:30.
5:30. Okay, flowing. 5:30.
5:30.
Bring your cards. I'm bringing mine.
Yeah.
I want to hear about this.
So Paranormal, for those of you who don't know, it's investigating the paranormal with tarot and oracle, and the chat. I love it. The chat joins in and helps along with the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
With that,
I love doing that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Ginger's read for me on my house, so
yeah,
she's good.
And this one's, I just feel it's going to be really unique. And with the amount of information, you might be a two-parter. We'll see. But I'm excited to see how.
Me too. I'm all like excited now.
Yeah. So.
Very cool.
Yeah. So please stop by, like and subscribe. But it'll be cool.
Flo says she'll bring her cards. I'll join you, Flo. We'll be reading together. We'll be throwing some cards
God,
together.
I just now got tingles on the top of my head and that's an indication for me that an energy's just arrived. I'm curious. What the heck?
Very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is about, but anyways, this was fun tonight, everyone.
Yes, this was great. I want to do this again.
Yeah, it was fun.
So,
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to share, Allyson, that you got planned for this weekend with videos being released or anything?
Well, I'll probably record a couple of videos, and I'm gonna do a deck review for the Hush Tarot.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that one looks like.
flip through, review, whatever.
Oh my gosh, my favorite deck.
And I've got just the normal things, I think, next week. And then is Monday? I think Monday is
the Mystic Four, right?
I believe so. Yeah, and that's on Tarot
That's
Staff
fun.
channel. It's so fun. It's so fun. I like the Mystic Four and Caffeinated and Unfiltered is fun, like hilarious fun. But like Mystic Four, it just works. It's a fun group to read with. So
that's awesome.
But that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
And you?
And,
do you have some?
Actually, yeah. I've got a lot going on. So let's see. Tuesday the 10th, Terry Suzuki from Kigaru Tarot is going to be joining me for Ancestor Messages. She does really unique mediumship where her guides come to her on a stage. That's how it's been for her. She'll has a stage, and then things kind of part, and then she waits to see who comes onto the stage if they're worried. So I mean, it's fascinating how
that's cool.
How Terry reads. I read with her last year, so it's been a while. So it'll be nice to have her on again, and that'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then Valerie from Illumination Portal will be with me on Wednesday. I have to double check with her on the time. And then Sun Psychic Jean is coming to my channel for Crystal Visions on Thursday at 4 p.m. And then Allyson and I again on our Friday shows. And then Hershey, the shadow reader, is going to be with me on Saturday for the new moon. So that's the new moon is going to be the 14th. So we'll be doing new moon readings. And that'll be it for next week. And I may pop up and do a pop-up here and there.
Yeah, so. I have one question. Are you going to pop up for air at some point?
It's just nice to have new people coming on and reading with people. And of course, on the 18th of this month, Jackie from Jackie's Crystal Moon, she does true crime. She loves true crime. So her and I are going to be doing a true crime. And so now I have Sharon Rhubarb Tarot that does the true crime with me, and Jackie, and of course you and Allyson always welcome to do a true crime or even do a paranormal true crime. I still
do paranormal, but I don't want to do true crime.
Well, sometimes the paranormal involves crime.
I agree with that, but it's a
different energy for some people. I get it.
Yeah, it's
like ancient energy.
Well, I love the idea of it, but sometimes it makes me nervous. But I love watching. I do like watching them.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, everybody, have a fabulous rest of your night. Have a great weekend.
Happy October.
Enjoy the fall weather wherever you are. Yes. And thank you, ladies. And we will see you all on one of our next shows. Bye.
Bye.
And thank you again, Stephen. You rock.